everyone, and welcome to our Alumni Talks webinar that will give you first-hand information on Maastricht School of Management MBA experience. My name is Mila, and I am the moderator of this webinar on behalf of Unimi. Please welcome our panelists, Inka Diddens, Recruitment Officer at Maastricht School of Management, and 3 of their successful students representing each program. Alejandro for full-time MBA, Marco for online MBA, and Evalyn for executive MBA. They will be telling us about the educational journey and how acquiring a degree from the Maastricht School of Management can enhance your career. You will be able to send your questions throughout the entire webinar by typing them in the chat box, and our panelists will take time to give you an answer during the Q&A session in the second half of this event. Okay, so let's check the sound now. Can everyone hear me? Just type in the chat box. Okay, thank you. So we're all set, and we are going to start with the presentation of our panelists now.
All right, thank you so much, Mila. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Inka, and as Mila mentioned, I'm the Recruitment Officer here at MSM, Maastricht School of Management. I'm actually from Germany, but already in Maastricht for quite some time. And with MSM, I'm for more than 2 years already. And I'm a lot in contact with potential students and helping them with the application, mainly for the MBA program. I'm happy to guide you through the panel today with help of our 3 current students. And now I'd first like to ask Alejandro to briefly introduce yourself to give the visitors a bit of an idea of your background.
Thank you, Inka. Nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Alejandro. I am from Guatemala. I am doing the full-time MBA at this moment. I am about half in the full-time MBA. I come from a background of different business experience. I started working in a startup in Guatemala. Then I moved to a job in a bank. And after the bank, I started my own consultancy firm. And it was at this time that I decided that I needed to pursue an MBA in order to broaden my mind and learn more about business and about myself.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. So you really come from far, from all the way from Guatemala. Evalyn, would you like to briefly tell us a bit more about your background as well?
Yeah, so my name is Evalyn. I am actually Dutch, so I don't have to come from so far to get to Maastricht. I do live in Belgium, in Hasselt. My background is in healthcare. I have a master's in physiotherapy. I did that for a couple of years, and then I decided to move into business. I worked for initially a brokerage, which then was acquired by an insurance firm for about 10 years, working my way up. And then after I left that organization, I decided it was actually the perfect time to start pursuing an MBA. And so I ended up talking to Inka, and I was actually looking at what will I do? Will it be a full-time MBA for a year to kind of get it over with and then go into a new job, or try and combine the two? And it ended up being the combination of actually working full-time and then also pursuing the executive MBA. So currently I am working with the Public Employment Service of the Flemish government.
All right, thank you so much. Indeed, that's a little bit closer than Guatemala. So, you know, Maastricht is right next to the Belgian part, Belgian corner. So Hasselt is more or less half an hour away, I think. So it's not too far. All right, Marco, tell us also a bit about your background, please.
Yes, my name is Marco Telo. I'm from the Netherlands as well. I've been a veterinarian for 18 years now. Started my own practice, actually 4 practices. So I've been quite an entrepreneur. Started an emergency hospital in the Netherlands, and I sold all my 4 clinics, 2 to corporates and 2 to private owners. And I wanted to make the next step from being a veterinarian towards well, probably, hopefully, a CEO, and so I needed the MBA education for that. And the online education is the best to combine everything for me. So and I really enjoy the program. It's really really great.
All right, thank you so much. Marco, just tell us which part of the Netherlands are you located right now?
Oh, the Hague.
The Hague, I see. Okay, thank you. All right, so just to give our visitors also a little bit of an idea, MSM, yeah, Maastricht School of Management, we're based in Maastricht. So for those of you that are outside of Europe, all the way south of the Netherlands, very close to the Belgian border and the German border. Maastricht is really a nice student city. I'm sure Alejandro can tell a little bit later about it. So it's not too small, not too big, but everyone speaks good English. And MSM, we're also one of the oldest and most international business schools in the Netherlands. So what we also really focus on is, yeah, we are a small school. The MBA program itself is going to be very, very practice oriented, and also no matter which program you choose, it's going to be yeah, very diverse for sure in the class. And I see, yeah, the slide is in the back, so you can see the 3 different formats. For you to know, it's the same MBA program, so no matter which one you choose, you're going to do the exact same curriculum. And basically, with any background, you can apply for it. That's why you see even Alejandro, Evalyn, and Marco all have different backgrounds, but in fact, they could also be in the same classroom. Yeah. All right, so now probably some of you are curious to know why you should do an MBA. So Evalyn, do you want to start and tell briefly, like, what were your reasons in choosing an MBA at this moment?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I have a background in physiotherapy, and I kind of rolled into my next position just because I had a background in healthcare and they needed somebody to, yeah, have some knowledge of healthcare. But then within the organization, I started growing. I ended up, going into a position where I was the right hand of my manager. Then she was promoted. I became the manager of the unit. Then I went another step up. And so along the way, I was learning more and more about business. But I didn't actually have the background in it. And also I have to admit, I felt a little bit, yeah, the odd one out, because all these other people had backgrounds in like economics, finance, etc. And yeah, and when they asked me my background, yeah, physiotherapy. So that's why for a number of years, I was already playing with the idea, like if I want to keep growing, I probably, yeah, at some point will need to prove that I actually understand these things. So I had seen a lot of it in practice already, but I now wanted to learn about, let's say, the theories behind it, and just in general being really interested in how organizations work, because I only saw it from one part, namely the operations part, but there's so much more to a business that I wanted to get a better grasp of that.
Okay, thank you very much. Alejandro, do you want to add anything why you choose to do an MBA, and maybe also why at MSM?
Yeah, I will add that in my opinion, I think that I needed a global view, and I think that MSM really gave me this opportunity. And also why in the Netherlands, because for me, coming from a background that my country we speak Spanish, and here the MBA is in English, and the city the national language is Dutch, but as Inka mentioned before, most of the people speak English. So even if you go to the market on a Sunday, everyone is speaking English. So but what I mean is that it really gives you a very international view of the world and a very globalized view of the world as well.
Did you manage to learn some Dutch already, Alejandro?
Nay. No.
I see. Well, you still have half time to go, right, of the MBA program.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Marco. Yeah, you also mentioned already a little bit about your background, of course. So tell us also why you chose to do the online MBA in particular to combine with your full-time job.
Yes, 2 years ago I was planning on going to the United Kingdom for my career, and then it was necessary for me to have a program I could do online, so I could switch from country and maybe even the States. So that was the main reason for me, so I could take the program along for where I would go. Now I stayed in the Netherlands. so it's a little bit less necessary, but my job requires me to be on the job. So the online MBA is really good for me because I can do it in the time that I have left, and I can do it then. It's quite intensive, but still the time that I have I can use for that. So that it's a really great program for that, because you can use the time you have.
And just in case you have to go back to UK, you can take it with you.
Yeah, or anywhere else. I'm in May. I'm gonna do my my honeymoon, and I'm going to Bonaire, and I can do it over there as well. So it's really great. I can just go on with everything.
Yeah, even during your honeymoon.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, maybe just to explain a little bit, indeed, so Alejandro is doing the full-time MBA program, so that's really one-year program. It's not possible to have a full-time job next to it and do a full-time MBA. It's simply too compact. Whereas Evalyn and Marco both are doing the part-time MBA programs, and both formats are specifically designed to be combined with a full-time job. Now it happens that both are from the Netherlands, but no matter which program you choose, you have students from all over the world joining, especially with the online MBA. It's also possible no matter where you are. Executive MBA. You have to be on campus here. Sorry, can you still hear me? Yeah.
Now
okay.
again, yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Evalyn,
I can hear you now.
Wondering if you could explain briefly how it works with the executive MBA, like how many times do you have to be on campus, and what is the structure?
Yeah, indeed. So I have to admit, when I was looking at where I would do my executive MBA, I also went to one of the big Belgian business schools. And the format that they had there is that you have to meet every 3 weeks, either a Friday and a Saturday or a Saturday and a Sunday. And so I found that compared to the program that MSM has, where, okay, it's 8 days in a row, but it's once every 3 months. For me personally, that was easier to combine than having to go every 3 weeks, let's say. So you go to school, it starts on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all the way through Saturday. And then you have to do the homework, let's call it, for the class as well. So you get assignments, and then the assignments need to be finished, let's say, by the next module. So you have about 3 months to work on it. I have to admit, it's a little bit of a struggle for me. I see it with some of my co-students as well, because I always say, oh, I'm going to get started on it immediately, you know, now that I'm still completely in the mode. But then life gets a little bit in the way, because, yeah, you have your work and you have your kids and you have deadlines, or at least I have kids. You have the deadlines coming in there. So you do have to really think about a strategy of how am I going to make this work? Because if you wait until the last minute, you're not going to get it done. So for me personally, I'm quite lucky because my current employer allows me some days to go to school. They allow me about 15 paid vacation days on top of my regular vacation days to go to school. So what I tend to do is to take some days off to work on the assignments. And also I negotiate with my husband, and I say, you know, this weekend I want completely to myself. So I send him out of the house with the children and I work on it. So that's how it works for me. But I also know some classmates that say, oh no, I do it, let's say, at the end of my working day. I come home, I have my dinner, and then I work on it between, you know, 8 and 10 or 8 and 11. And I do that every day. I greatly admire them. It doesn't work for me, but it just goes to show you that everybody kind of, searches for their own best method in getting it done. But as long as you get your work finished, it's okay, right? I mean, it's the same as any working environment. Everybody looks for their own method.
Sure, but at least then you found a good way to make it work.
So far, so good, yes.
Yeah, indeed, very good. And Alejandro, what does the workload look like in the full-time MBA? Because I mentioned already pressure cooker, so what does this really mean?
Yeah, it's heavy as well, but we have 1 week in that we have the classes, and then we have 1 more week for individual and group assignments. So even if it's a lot of work, we also have time to enjoy the city and enjoy the Netherlands. We have classmates who take some days of the other week to travel around the Netherlands or Europe, but we have the group assignments, so we work through emails but the workload is hard, but it's manageable at the moment, at least.
You still manage to travel. Very good. Yeah, but that's really nice also. Like, I don't know if it was for you the first time to come to Europe, but yeah, if you're on Maastricht, I mean, right away you're on Brussels and Amsterdam and Paris in a few hours. So that's something I would anyway recommend anyone. So when you have some time, go and travel.
Yeah, because Maastricht is so good located that it's close to everything.
Indeed, for sure. All right. And Marco, for the online MBA program, let's say in average, how many hours per day would you need or per week would you need to have for self-study?
Well, I think on general, it's between 20 or 30 hours. So it's quite heavy, and we need to get an assignment every week. And in the fourth week or the fifth week, we have to do the final assignment. But most of the times we started with the next module. So we had 2 assignments then. And I noticed that a lot of my colleagues are really struggling to keep up with the high speed, because every week an assignment and reacting on 2 other assignments. So it's 3 assignments actually. And it sounds like it's easy online, but it's really, really high speed and high duty.
Yeah, I can imagine, because of course you have your full-time job next to it, then you have your honeymoon coming up, so you need to combine all this with the online MBA. But what I thought interesting, you mentioned already working on assignments. So could you tell us a bit like also how it works with the interaction with the other classmates that you have in the online MBA program?
Yeah, what happens? So we have our assignment every week, and so we have time for that. And after that, we have 2 days to react on the assignments of our classmates, and you have to react on at least 2 assignments. And that's one part of the interaction. And then it depends on the lecturer how free we are in our reactions. So we had some lecturers that allow us a lot of freedom, so you can give an opinion. And sometimes we have lecturers that give us a little less freedom, and then your opinion, well, has to be substantiated. So that's more difficult because of that. But there's a lot of interaction, and we can, even though we don't see each other, you get a lot of personal interaction. Like some people are from Beirut and places like that, and you know what's happening there, and you feel for each other, and yeah, you know what everybody's doing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Marco. Alejandro, I mentioned already that you do the full-time MBA program. So for you, probably the career services and networking is very important. So tell us a bit about what do the networking opportunities for the full-time MBA students look like?
Well, that's a very nice thing of MSN. Hermina, she's in charge of career services, and for the past month, she has been organizing these meetings into that in order to help all of the students to prepare themselves to find a job after the full-time MBA. And we have the corporate week coming on in the upcoming month. So that's
yeah.
In June, July, yeah, and it's gonna be very interesting, and yeah, we're looking forward for it. But and regarding the corporate week, they also invite us to participate. So we have a few classmates who are already looking for companies as well, and yeah, everybody is very excited about the corporate week.
That sounds good. Thank you. Yeah, because anyway, as part of the MBA curriculum, no matter which format you choose, you could also do a business consultancy project. And often this is also used for example, full-time MBA students to get a bit into the way of doing some networking and finding a company in the Netherlands to eventually also get an offer afterwards to stay. Yeah. Alejandro, because you are from Guatemala, of course, so are you going to make use of the orientation year permit that you have?
Yeah, to be honest, at the beginning, I just thought to come to the Netherlands for the MBA and go back to my country. But I really like the city of Maastricht and also the Netherlands. So I'm planning on staying the next year to try to find a job in the Netherlands and have experience abroad.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's another thing that we should mention about the year extra that we get after the MBA.
Yeah, indeed, because the full-time MBA program, so you get a student visa, right, which lasts for 1 year. And with the orientation year permit, you can stay another year. And then you mentioned already Hermina, so that's the contact person from the career service department. She can really sit with each and everyone one by one and see, you know, which industry is good, which job direction to go to. And anyway, I mean, we did some research, so especially what Dutch employers are looking for. In general, Maastricht region is quite known for the healthcare companies. They're all based there. But yeah, depends really which direction you want to go to. Normally English is fine, but it could be that maybe for some positions your application is more competitive also if you speak a little bit of Dutch. So that's something we can always advise. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so now, Evalyn, I'm curious to hear, because of course you are from the healthcare or like physio background, what type of class profiles are in your executive MBA class?
Yeah, incredibly varied. So we do have new students coming in every so often, and I'm always amazed at okay, all these people are coming from different locations and have different backgrounds. So definitely, yeah, some other people that have healthcare backgrounds, but we have people that come from the automotive industry. We have people from IT, you name it, and they're in the class. And that's for me also part of what makes the executive MBA so much fun and so attractive, because you get a lot of different insights. So, you know, sometimes we will be learning about a module, and you have some people, for example, it's marketing, and you have one guy in there who is a marketeer. So of course he has a lot of different insights and input than everybody else. But it's that diversity that makes it really fun and interesting to think, oh, I didn't think of that. And diversity both from the background of which field people are working in, but also just which country or which location they're coming from. Although I have to say most people are kind of like a mixed breed, let's say, in terms of nationality, because they have moved around or lived in different locations. So it's you know, like me when I say I'm Dutch, yes, but I spend a lot of time in the US and now I'm living in Belgium, so I don't feel like 100% Dutch, let's say. And there's a lot of people in the class like that have moved around either for their work or for their private life. And so they're kind of a mix, but it makes it, yeah, for real interesting conversations and different viewpoints in the class.
Okay, thank you. I think also that's really unique for each and every format. So especially I think for the executive and the full-time MBA program, that's probably also where you can improve a lot your soft skills. With online MBA also, yeah, you go into discussion as well. You just don't have to face face-to-face contact, but diversity is definitely something. Yeah, we really ensure, that's why also the whole application procedure is very thorough. So we also make sure that each and everyone's profile, no matter which industry, is a good fit for the students or for the class that is already existing, for example, with executive MBA, or for all the new students together for the online MBA or the full-time MBA. The MBA curriculum itself is also very general, so it's good combination hard skills like things like finance has to be there, accounting, but also, for example, change management, so well balanced. And on top of this, there's also always one specialization. And the specialization is, if you do it on campus, is a 2 weeks course. I think, Marco, for you online, it's 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. Because you said you want to do the specialization online, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's the international business and sustainable development one. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Evalyn, which one are you aiming to do? Which specialization?
So I'm still a little bit in doubt. I think we have until March to make our final decision. Healthcare, I'm not sure if I ever want to go back into it, so that might be an interesting one. For now, I've also said international business and sustainability, but I was also considering entrepreneurship, which is first strange because I'm not an entrepreneur and I have no aspirations of becoming an entrepreneur. But I think that the things we will learn in there will be applicable for any kind of business. I mean, you will be running new projects, for example, in any kind of business anyway. So I do think it will translate well into business. So still, yeah, I might flip a coin for it. But yeah, I think either way, it'll be great to learn. We've gotten some information on all the different specializations, and they all sound incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's like a wrong answer. So,
no,
and if
indeed.
not, I can always come back and do another one.
Yeah, indeed, you can also do another one afterwards, indeed. Yeah, anyway, we would always advise to do the specialization in a field where you don't have so much experience in yet. So maybe in your case, I think you know all about healthcare already. So that's why it might be nice to try something different. Who knows if you want to become an entrepreneur afterwards. Like Marco, yeah, he does the online MBA and specialization online. But in general, for our online MBA students, everyone is also invited to do the specialization of 2 weeks on campus, which might also be nice for networking, but as long as it's possible. Now, and Alejandro, which specialization are you going to do?
Like with Evalyn, for me, it was very hard to choose between entrepreneurship, finance, but at the end, I chose digital economy.
Okay. Why did you choose that one?
Well, I think it was the professor Vincent Felhans. He is one of the professors of that specialization, and he's quite an interesting man. So I think that I will learn a lot.
Okay, very good. Keep us posted. Yeah. Perfect. Then Alejandro, tell us also a bit more. When you applied, how did it go for you with finding accommodation here in Maastricht? How was the search for you?
Well, it was hard. I had to start early to searching for accommodation. The office of MSN really helped me. They gave me some good insights, and yeah, at the end I took the decision to come to Maastricht without a final accommodation and search my place here at the end, and I managed to find it's actually a funny story, because the first visit that I had, it was the apartment where I'm staying right now. So it was not that hard for me, but I heard that for other people it's been quite a challenging.
I see that. Okay, you are a very good example.
Yeah.
It all went well. But yeah, let me just add. In general, we always advise to each and everyone, especially for the full-time MBA program, because you need to have a place to stay in Maastricht, to apply better the sooner than later, simply because housing is limited, like everywhere else in the Netherlands. And of course, we also help with this, but ultimately, yeah, you don't want to rush and come all the way from Guatemala without a place, and it's the end of August and you have to start the next day. So that's why better sooner than later. Yeah, and for Evalyn, I guess you get an Airbnb or a hotel when you stay here?
Actually, I make the trip back and forth because it's a fairly short drive. And funny enough, there's another Vietnamese lady who lives in Hasselt and is also doing the MBA. So we end up carpooling, which is nice to have a chat with somebody. But a lot of the indeed executive MBA students, they come in and they either stay at a hotel or an Airbnb because they fly in from everywhere. I think the only trouble we had is when André Rieu is having his concerts in Maastricht. But I think even for that, yeah, we are starting to warn the students early, you know, to make sure that they make reservations on time.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's also why the concerts are always in July, and now we moved the specialization to June, so that there's more place for each and everyone. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and for you, Marco, it does not matter where you are. If you are at home or if you are traveling, indeed, you just have the most flexible option.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Then, yeah, from my side, I think we pretty much discussed everything. Do you guys still want to share something that I forgot to go over?
Well, I would just like to mention that in the full-time MBA we have 32 nationalities. So as I was mentioning before, it's very interesting to have it's not only the curriculum and the classes, but also the experience that all the classmates they give, and yeah, it's very nice to have 32 nationalities in one room.
You're the only one from Guatemala, right?
Yeah, I'm the only one from Guatemala, but we have
And
Mexico, Brazil,
yeah.
USA, India, Bhutan, yeah, and many other countries.
Yeah, indeed. No, that's something that's just very special for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Anything else you want to mention? No? Okay. Well, then I think Mila, now I will need your help so we can move on to the Q&A session.
Thank you. We are moving on to the Q&A session. So the first question, I think, goes to everyone. Did you apply for other schools as well, or just the MSM?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I ended up indeed applying to, I mentioned there's another Belgian school, business school. I ended up applying to that one as well. I was or approved, or I don't know what the technical term is, to start there as well. Admitted. I'm not sure if that's correct, but anyway, they would like me to start there as well. But I ended up choosing, like I mentioned, for MSM because of the 3-month schedule, and also because there was an opportunity for a scholarship with MSM. Maybe one more thing to add. Sorry. It just popped in my mind. Sorry. I'll say it quickly. I actually, when I visited the first time and I met with Inka, they talked about maybe you can like meet with one of the teachers and see one of the classes. So I ended up attending, it was actually full-time MBA, but it doesn't matter. The teacher was the same for the full-time or the executive MBA. So I attended one of the classes for a couple of hours, and that really gave me a flavor of what MSM was like. And I felt it was a little bit less rigid and more creative than the Belgian school. So that was for me also a very important one, because I'm not the type of person who likes kind of like teacher student and the teacher does all the talking and the students just listen and absorb. There was much more interaction, which I quite liked. Now I will stop talking and let the next person go.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me actually, I'm sorry, Alejandro.
No,
you please.
You go, please, Marco, go.
Thank you. I applied in The Hague as well because I didn't know exactly what was the difference between HBO MBA or university MBA. And then I had a talk with Dave Cass, and that really convinced me. So that was really good. And actually, I thought I was going to be convinced to come to Maastricht. And then he told me that I had to convince him to take me. So that was quite a challenge, but no, it was a great talk. It's a great guy, and really convinced me about how things go at Maastricht, and I really enjoy it thoroughly until now. And I agree with Evalyn. It's a really low impact. You can, the teachers are really nice, and you can make a very nice contact with them, and it's really easy going. So yeah, it's good for me. Alejandro.
Thank you, Marco. I also applied to two universities in Amsterdam because, as I mentioned before, I wanted to come to the Netherlands. And at the end, as Marco, it was Dave Cass who convinced me, and then I had to convince him to take me. But yeah, and also because of the specialization of digital economy that I have searched before.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move to a cluster of two questions that are regarding the specialization you mentioned. Is taking the specialization obligatory, and are there additional fees for that?
Probably I should answer that one. So
No.
yes, as part of the MBA curriculum, there's one specialization. Yeah, it's mandatory, so it's also a nice privilege to do. Indeed, like if you want to do a second specialization, that's also possible. That would be at an additional cost. Right now, it's 3,995 euros. But the one specialization that you have included in your curriculum, that's also included in the tuition fees.
Thank you. Next question, again, coming from the attendees regarding the way you funded your degree. So was it through a loan or scholarship? Maybe we can start with Evalyn.
Yeah, indeed. So as I mentioned, for me, it was part scholarship, and yeah, the rest I paid myself. I will mention, and this is a tip I would give to anybody, is talk to your employer and see what they can do for you, whether they are willing to pay anything back. So for me, I was lucky enough that my current employer actually, yeah, refunded me a little bit as well, and they pay for my books as well, as an example. So again, extremely lucky and grateful for that, because I know it's not the same for everybody, but I didn't have to get a loan, thankfully.
Thank you. And Marco, can you share?
Yes, I applied for the scholarship, and in my case, I have been in business long enough so I could apply for all three scholarships, and I was granted the scholarships. So and for the rest of the amount, I had to pay myself because I was my own employer. So yeah, but that's okay because you invest in yourself. But still, half of it. I got a scholarship for that, so it's quite good. Yeah.
Thank you, Alejandro. You?
I got a scholarship as well, and I'm paying for the other half of the tuition fee.
Thank you. Inka, if you have any tips on what a successful application for a scholarship looks like, you can share it with us, please.
Sure. So first of all, yeah, we make it pretty straightforward. So that means the tuition fee is the same and the scholarships is the same structure, no matter if it's full-time, online, or executive. The full tuition is 32,500 euros. And then also it does not matter if now, yeah, if the student is paying or if the employer in best case is paying or any third party. At MSM, we have a couple of scholarships available, which depend a little bit, which one you want to apply for. There are some based on nationality. There's others if you get a high GMAT score, for example, or there's a special one for entrepreneurship or early bird, or also one woman ambassadorship scholarship. I can always share the conditions per scholarship, if someone is interested. But pretty much it's anyway one application. That means when the student apply for the MBA program, there's one tab which also is about the scholarship, the financial part. That means we treat it as one application. So after the admissions interview, the student will know relatively short period of time, not only the good news, hopefully, but also if there are any scholarships accepted.
Thank you all. The next question, and I think that Inka has that as information. What is the average working experience for the candidates in the full-time MBA?
In the full-time MBA, we require a minimum of 3 years of work experience. Should someone have less than 3 years, then we also have an alternative program, which is the Masters in Management. Other than that, for full-time MBA, 3 years, whereas online and executive is preferred 5 years of work experience. But that also has to do, in general, the MBA is very practice oriented. So the more experience there is, the more the students also able to share and contribute and go into class, group discussion. So that's something we anyway check with each and every applicant.
Thank you. The next question, I believe it's for Alejandro. Was quitting your job for an MBA a difficult decision?
Yeah, but it was. I started my own firm, and I realized that I needed more education in order to get more clients. So it was a hard decision, but I think I think it was worth it, and I took some and I took some good advices from mentors that I had. So yeah, I think at the moment it was a hard decision, but at the moment it's worth it.
Thank you. If anyone wants to share their experience with having to make a compromise with work or with their personal time, you can share now, or we can move to another question. Okay, so we're going to move to another question, and that is again for all. How did you prepare for the admissions process? Maybe Marco, we can start with you, or Evalyn. Oh, okay. So, how did you prepare for the admissions process? Marco, can you share your experience?
Yes, I'm sorry, there's something happening next door. For the admissions program, well, for the interview, there's a layout, so you could read about what the questions are for the interview. So I prepared that, and for the rest, I think yeah, you have to go in open-minded. So that was my idea, and the more open-minded that you are, the better it works, because then you get an open conversation, and I think that works really well. And for the rest, there are some things necessary, like people that have to vouch for you, and you have to think about that. So you need 2 people that have relevant curriculum that will vouch for you, and you need to realize that you need them. So if you don't have those people, then you can't you don't get admitted. So that's something you have to realize, I think.
Thank you. Evalyn, can you share your experience with preparing for the admission process?
Yeah, indeed. Like Marco said, you have to have some people that vouch for you. So I mean, the admission process itself is fairly straightforward. It's easy to find the information that you need to gather and to work through the system that MSM uses to apply for it. But likewise, I really had to think about, okay, I have this many years experience. Who are the 2 people that I'm going to be able to find to vouch for me, let's say. But other than that, I have to admit I didn't prepare for the interview maybe as well as I could have. I just went in with, yeah, this is who I am, and let's see if there's a match, let's say. So from that point of view, that's also how I am in real life. What you see is what you get. So I go in and I answer the questions and I tell them what I'm looking for, and then we see whether there's a match or not. And there was, because I ended up joining, and I'm still quite happy to be at MSM. I hope that they're still happy with me as well, or maybe they're happy that I will be graduating in a little bit. I don't know, but so yeah, I guess it's the same. Yeah, the same. I would advice I would give like anybody. It's the same as when you go to apply for a job. Don't pretend that you're something you're not, because in the end, it's going to come out and it's not going to work out well. So I think the same applies for the application to MSM.
Thank you. And Alejandro, can you share something from your experience?
Yeah, I will recommend the students to put some effort in the I forgot the name, Inka. Sorry.
Motivation letter.
The motivation letter. Yeah, to put some effort in the motivation letter, because it's like your opening and it's like the introduction of the book, for example. So I think that the MSM look at the motivation letters, and in order, if it's a good motivation letter, they will give you an interview, and then in the interview I will recommend as well as Evalyn, just to be yourself, but also read the guideline of the interview and be a little bit prepared, but be yourself, and if it's a match, you're going to have a great experience, and you're going to learn a lot.
Thank you. The next question, I guess, would go to Evalyn and Inka. What are the networking events held by MSM for executives?
Do you want to start, or shall I start?
I haven't attended any of the events, so I can talk about networking in class, let's say.
Okay.
I do have to specify that that was not one of the reasons for me to do the executive MBA, to build a network, even though that is, yeah, directly a result of doing the executive MBA, and that's wonderful to be able to build really a worldwide network of people in different locations and in different industries. So the only real life example I can give at this point is that recently we had another student join who is a physician and mentioned to me that she was interested in working for an NGO maybe. And then I thought, oh, hey, I have a friend, an ex-colleague who is also a physician who used to work for Médecins Sans Frontières, and her husband still works there. So why don't I connect the two? So I did, so they can talk to each other and see if something comes out of it. I don't know if something has come out of it meanwhile, but I think that's also indeed a great thing to come out of there, just to talk and talk to each other and meet other people. And apparently we are all connected to each other with only 6 people in between. So it just makes it a lot easier when you put us all together in a classroom.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me just add to this. Yeah, I mean, based on experience, indeed, a lot of networking is happening through the diversity in class. I mean, at MSM, we also do have career services available, as mentioned earlier, but this is mainly used, let's say, by the full-time MBA students, simply because they need a bit more guidance to get back into the job after graduation, whereas usually executive and online MBA students already have a full-time job while doing the MBA. It's a part-time program. Besides the networking that happens in class, there are also guest lectures taking place, company visits as well, but that depends a little bit on the module. Maybe that's why Evalyn did not have a chance yet to do so. Other than that, there's also a corporate week, what Alejandro said earlier. So again, that's a lot used for the full-time MBA students, but if there's someone from an executive MBA or even online that wants to come to MSM for the corporate week, definitely welcome. Yeah, that's also a nice moment to meet some of the partners that we work with. There will be workshops, interviews, speed dates, presentations. So it's a whole week of networking opportunities.
Thank you. The next question is again somewhat of a networking question, and it's are there specific clubs to join during the degree?
Specific what?
Clubs like interest clubs. I don't know. Maybe the person can clarify on that. Yes, clubs of interest like entrepreneurial club or something like that.
I can answer this one. So, I mean, at this moment, we don't have any clubs like this. However, it also depends always on the students that we have. And since we are a small school, so it's not that we have like 10 different clubs available. But if you come to MSM and if you find like fellow students that have the same interests like you, definitely you can come up with something. So we also leave you all the freedom there. Other than that, yeah, Maastricht is a nice student city, so there are sports facilities here as well. You can learn the language, you can do some other fun activities, and that is something where we can also always give you all the tips you need to go into the right direction.
Okay, and the next question that we want to share with you is you mentioned it's a small school. So what are the class sizes? Maybe Inka, you have a broader perspective.
So in average, we like to keep it small. That means in a full-time MBA group, between 30 to 35 students. That's also why I always advise each and everyone apply better sooner than later. Otherwise, simply there might not be space in class. That's also where we have one intake. Whereas for the online MBA, there are always two intakes. So in June and in November, how it is right now. And there we accept maximum 16 students per intake. So there we have to make sure it stays like below 16. Otherwise, this interaction would not be possible. And executive MBA, that's something that Evalyn also mentioned. There are two intakes a year and it's consistent. So there every three intakes. We have an April intake as well. So January, April, and October. That's why every couple of months there are new students joining the group. And yeah, so now I think more or less around 36. Evalyn, is that correct?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So also there means we don't have the capacities to do a classroom of 100 students, for example. So that's also not what MSM stands for.
Okay, thank you. We have time for a couple more questions. The next one is, again, I think, Inka, you have a broader perspective on that. How many countries, sorry, how many countries are represented in MSM right now?
That is also a good question. I think, Alejandro, you mentioned in the MBA right now you are 22 different nationalities.
22 nationalities, yeah.
Yeah. So that's just in one classroom. Then we also have the Masters in Management program, and that's also a classroom of 32 students and I think 16 different nationalities. I would need some help for the online and executive. I don't know by heart how many nationalities are in there, but it's for sure something we are very proud on. So throughout each and every classroom, you'll be in touch with students from all different backgrounds and nationalities as well. And also with the staff, I just like to add, so myself, I'm from Germany, but my colleagues are from South Africa, from Romania, from Italy. This is just us working at MSM, but the lecturers, the professors are also from all places. At MSM, we have partner schools. That also means our professors are teaching abroad at the partner schools. They are sending their professors to MSM, so there's also there a lot of diversity.
Okay, we have time for one more question, we're gonna finish after this. Anyone with questions that were not answered can send them to me, and I'm gonna make sure they reach their right recipient, and you can find the answer to that. So, how many types of specialization do you offer? I guess again, Inka, that can come to you.
Of course. So at this moment on campus, we offer 7 different specializations, but I must say it also always depends. I mean, we need to have a minimum number of students to be able to run the specialization. And we have some which are like sports or healthcare. There, of course, you need to have the relevant background to be able to join and also to benefit, of course, from the specialization. Whereas the others, such as accounting and finance, entrepreneurship, digital economy, and international business and sustainable development, you can basically apply with any background, and then in the interview process we will also evaluate if it's a good fit. And what also happened before that, when by the time that the student applied, maybe they chose entrepreneurship, but then throughout the MBA, they changed their mind and they do digital economy. So that's also possible.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to wrap this webinar. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to our wonderful panelists for the informative presentation and for taking time to answer your questions. Again, to those whose questions were not answered, we will be receiving them by email and transferring them to our panelists. You will receive a link with the recording of the whole webinar so you can rewatch it. And on behalf of UniMy team, we wish you a best of luck on your academic journey, and we hope to meet again soon. Thank you so much to all of you for being panelists with our webinar. Thank you, Evalyn, Marco, Alejandro, and Inka.
Thank you too.